All right, welcome to 3-2, plotting fractions on a number line, or on number lines. So we just talked about what is a fraction, and then next we're going to add and subtract fractions with like denominators. So I will be able to understand and explain how to plot fraction on a number line, and we are going to plot multiple fractions on a number line. We have no vocabulary, so we're just going straight into building background. So the first thing we're going to do is break up the line into 5 equal parts. So this is where I'm going to start. So I'm going to call that 0. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So what's important is you see that the same space is in between each one. We don't want them too crowded, but we want them nicely spread out. So what this represents is this would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. And then if I have 5/5, that actually represents the number 1. Because 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay, so here we go to example 1. It says plot 1/2 and 3 1/2 on the number line. So we're going to count by whole numbers. So if I start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, so let's start at 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to break each interval into the amount of the denominator. So these are each half. So I'm going to break it into 2. So I want to just make a small, tiny little point. And I'm not actually going to make it, but what we want to do is we want to think right here would be the half. Okay, right here would be a half. Right here would be a half. And right here would be a half. Okay, excuse me. So don't actually make a point there. I did because otherwise you can't see what I'm talking about. So 1/2 would just be right here because it's 0 and 1/2. So there's my big point. 3 and 1/2 would mean past 3 and then another half. And those are our points. Okay. Number 2, we're going to plot 2/5 and -2 and 4/5 on the same number line. So this is going to be 0. Then we're going to have 1, -1, -2, -3. So we're going to count by the whole numbers, which is what we just did. We're going to break each interval into the amount of the denominator. So the denominator is 5. So we want to break this up into 5 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was a little not quite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's actually only 4 dots in between each one because we want 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 2/5 would be from 0, and I want to count, each of these are a fifth. So this would be 1/5, 2/5. Okay, then we have -2 and 4/5. So I'm going to go to -2, and I'm adding on -4/5. So I'm going to go to the left. So it'll be -2 and 1/5, -2 and 2/5, -2 and 3/5, -2 and 4/5. Okay, number 3. We're going to plot 3/4, 1/3, -1 and 3/5, and -1 and 1/2 on the number line. So we're going to plot 1 point at a time, and we need to visualize. So this time what's really important is we have to visualize, meaning we have to think in our head about breaking up the interval, but don't make any marks on the line because it's going to get really confusing because we have different denominators. So we can't actually make those points like we did here. Okay, so I'm going to put 0 in the middle, and then 1, 2, and then -1, -2. So for 3/4, I'm thinking that that's between 0 and 1 because there's no whole number there. So for 3/4, if I think about 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm going to do that again, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing 4 because that's the denominator. Now I need to stop when I get to the third one. So 1, 2, 3. So 3/4 is right about here. Okay, then I have 1/3. So 1/3 means to break it up into 3 parts. I'm going to think 1, 2, 3. So I'm ignoring that dot that I just made. So I'm starting at 0 and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Now it's 1/3, so I stop at the 1. 1. So there's 1/3. Now I have negative 1 and 3/5. So I start at negative 1. I'm adding on fractions, so I'm going to go to the left. So I'm going to break it up into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 always ends up on the whole number, or whatever the denominator is. So I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm spacing them out evenly. This time I'm going to stop at the 3. So negative 1 and 1/5, negative 1 and 2/5, negative 1 and 3/5. So right about here. And then negative 1 and 4/5 would be right there. Now I have negative 1 and 1/2, so we're only breaking it up into 2. 1, 2. 1/2 is always right in the middle of the whole number, so it'd be right about there. Okay. The denominator, so for the summary, the denominator tells you how many parts to break up the intervals, and the numerator tells you which one to plot the point. So like here, we said 3/4, so we did on the 1, 2, 3, the third one, 3/4. Right here it was 2/5, so 1, 2. Okay, and that's it.